There's exclamations why maybe he's not.
It's always
We'll set the dogs off again, Luke.
This is the White Noise Podcast with Andy Munns and Ian Pearson.
Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of the White Noise Podcast.
5?
Yeah, 5.
Wow.
We're 5. I've done 3.
Oh, yeah.
You've done 4 so far.
That's why it feels longer for me.
We got Pete some company this time.
Yeah, nice to have some friends.
Makes a change. Obviously, we're discussing all things Salisbury FC. Just as a caveat at the top of this, we're not going to discuss youth because Amy's here and we don't want to get her into trouble. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
So we'll start off by talking about the last 5 games. We'll go back as far as Chippenham. I thought we'd include a win. So let's talk Chippenham. 1-0 win, late Dominic Reving goal. Thoughts on the fireworks before the game first?
Didn't really see him, I was in the bar, so that's all I can contribute on that, I'm afraid.
Didn't see him either, Luke. Amy, did you see him?
Yeah, I saw them. I thought they were a little bit of an anti-climax. I thought they could have been a little bit longer. But yeah, they were good.
I kind of get what they were doing as a kind of the big welcome.
Yeah.
Nice idea.
And if it was that every game, as a bit of T20, as the players come out. But I think it was fairly expensive just for those little bits. So that's not going to happen. But I think it was nice. But I think people expected a little bit more when they were told there were fireworks. I don't think they expected a 15-minute display, but maybe a little something more.
Over 1,700 turned up to watch a 1-0 win. Thoughts on the game in general? We left it late, but it doesn't really matter when you score a goal, does it?
Yeah, I thought we started off pretty well, actually. Started well, looked to be dominating the game, but I'll probably say after about half hour or so, because we hadn't scored, it was almost like we'd run out of ideas of what we were going to do, and we got a bit frustrated, panicked, whatever you want to call it, and it sort of petered out a bit. And I mean, they're not a brilliant side. We weren't brilliant, but we were certainly the better side. But the good thing is, we did keep going. Like you say, the late goal, scored great. And the two good things are we had the big crowd there and actually got a win, because how many times over the years with both this club and the old club have we had a big crowd and then everyone turns up and we lose 6-0 to Truro or something like that. And so that was a good thing. And the fact that it was a late win, people go away, go at the end, like the last thing you take from the game is, wow, that was a great moment, well done, we've got the win, away we go type thing, rather than scoring early, then the game peters out sort of thing. So it was a good thing, and ultimately the win is the important thing, really.
It was a good sales pitch, wasn't it, for the 1,730, I think it was. A lot of which would have been new fans. There was a leaflet drop before the game, which brought a lot of people in. Well done, Toby, and a few others that did that. I know he likes a pat on the back for that. He mentioned it about 14 times, but well done. No, seriously, well done to Toby for arranging that and sorting it. But like you say, there's nothing better than a last-minute winner or equaliser, but certainly a winner's just a little bit more of an ice on the cake. Great sales pitch to a load of new fans that were in the stadium, wasn't it?
Amy, your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, pretty much the same, to be honest. I think you could feel the fans' kind of frustrations in the second half. We had enough chances, we just couldn't find the back of the net, like seems to be the whole of the season at the moment. We've really, really struggled, and the winner was the plus, and it was a great goal.
It was a good finish.
Yeah, no, it was a great finish, and I think it possibly took a little bit pressure off. I think if we drew that game and then went into the run of fixtures that we were going to go into, I think there'd have probably been a bit more pressure dropping points at home against the team that's bottom of the league. So yeah, good to get a last minute winner, get the win, and move on to the next one, really.
And as you say, the games that have followed, it's been a tricky old run of games with Chelmsford, Maidenhead, Maidstone, Hornchurch, who were all looking at least playoffs. Chelmsford first went into the game not expecting anything, and we came away with a point and a really good performance away from home.
Yeah, I thought we were, in some ways we deserved the point, but also they missed a lot of chances. But you've got to take your chances ultimately, and we scored a couple of goals, which is always nice on the road. We very rarely score more than one away from home, so to get 2 away from home was good, especially having conceded in the opening 17 seconds or whenever it was. Very quick response, which is what we needed, and I thought we played quite well. Again, Buse made some good saves, they missed a couple of chances, but we dug deep, going down to 10 men, we kept battling, and I thought we were going to see it out, and then the penalty at the end, it's what I call an unlucky penalty, because by the letter of the law it is a penalty, but he's a yard away from the player.
You see him giving, you see him not giving.
Yeah, it's one of them that if it was up the other end and we didn't get that, we would be screaming for it, sort of thing. But it is frustrating because we did work very hard that day on a horrible pitch, at a horrible ground, where we had to be really, really battling, and you're sort of thinking, yes, this could be a brilliant away win, and all right, a point away is still brilliant, but when you're 2-1 up in the 91st
it's kind of
minute,
that reverse of the Chippenham, isn't it? It's
exactly.
It's that feeling at the end of the game.
Exactly that, yeah. So positives, definitely that we got the point, but yeah, like you say, just leaving the game, you go, frustrating, but not really too much that I think we did particularly wrong in that game. I thought we tried to see it out as best we could with the 10 men, and yeah.
Thoughts on the Mo Darbra red cards? We weren't sure that it looked like even a free kick, let alone a yellow card from. But where we commentate from at Chelmsford is a long way from the pitch. What did it look? Because you guys were on the far side of the ground. What did it look like from where you were?
I mean, I don't think any of us saw it because we were so far away. To be honest, we didn't. Well, a lot of us didn't actually realise he picked up the first yellow.
No, and nor did the Chelmsford media team either.
No, none of us in the press box.
No,
realised.
so we were really like, oh, was that a straight red? Like, what on earth was that for?
Yeah.
Initially, I actually thought it went to McIntyre, who had picked up the yellow, and then realised he was actually over on our side. But yeah, I felt really, really sorry for Mo. He's the player you need on the pitch, and I'm sure we'll kind of touch on that slightly later on when we didn't have him. You know, but yeah, they did play overall really, really well, and like Pete said, Chelmsford didn't take their chances.
No, and Chelmsford probably in Lyle Taylor have a player who shouldn't be playing at this level. He should be playing at least one step above. And you saw that quick thinking in those first 15 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a good striker at that level. Sort of player that we would love. Maybe we did have somebody like that, but it didn't work out for whatever reason. But against a top quality striker like that, then like you say, he's going to take his chances. When he did, took the penalty nicely, put it away, and yeah, that was that really.
The hands have arrived. Sorry, Luke.
I think you saw his frustration as well. I think most people
His
saw
post-match interview
his
was-
interview. Yeah, he looked like he was raging, and he threw his whole team under the bus for not at least getting a scrappy win, even with all the chances they had. So yeah, like you say, before the game, you take a point. A little bit disappointing, you don't see it out, but it's a point that you didn't expect. So yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, a tough run of fixtures, as we're going to get to in a minute, but that was disappointing, like you say, not to take the win, but actually it was a bonus in a way, wasn't it,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
And I think those feelings are kind of echoed with the Maidenhead game as well. When they're not really expecting much, less than 10 minutes to go, we had a point on the table.
Yeah.
And then whatever that free kick was happened.
Yeah, I was stood next to Dave and Dom, and as soon as that free kick happened, where you know we had an extra man over, we could either whipped it straight in or made the most of the extra man, and we gave it away and then conceded. Like I sort of lost my head a little bit, and Dom looked behind like I grew another head because I really wasn't impressed that. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Maidenhead on the face of it were probably slightly the better team, but when you are in that game with 10 minutes to go, 1-1, you're thinking, okay, at least see out at least a point.
Play percentages.
Yeah, and I think the good thing was I was really worried actually after the game that it might have been like covered up, but your interview with Dutz, he addressed it straight away, saying it probably came down to maybe inexperience or something along those lines. So I'm glad it wasn't just brushed under the carpet, because it was a real basic error. Like, I know the game is played over 90 minutes and lots of different things happen to make the final result, but that felt like the define. And it was disappointing, very disappointing to see that happen, to see us drop a point.
A certain Salisbury supporter who sat just in front of us while we were commentating stood up, slammed his seat back and stropped off.
Well, he nearly broke your phone at one point.
He was not a happy
jumped
boy.
in the air and then dropped.
I don't blame him, I really don't.
Was there similar frustration over this end of the table?
Yeah, I think the fence in front of me felt it as well, to be honest. It was just that sheer disappointment, I think. They'd worked so hard throughout that whole game to be kind of level with Maidenhead and put up a really good fight. Yes, we conceded from a corner, another set piece.
To be fair, though, that was a towering, well-delivered corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he got
really
up
good.
So high to head that home.
Yeah.
They did, and they were pressing all game. So to come away with nothing really did kind of feel really deflating in the end.
Again, a point seemed fair, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, I'd pretty much echo that. Yeah, I think we potentially could easily have deserved a point. Battled really hard, worked hard, had quite a good shape generally. I mean, second half, I didn't really think Maidenhead offered too much. I think we probably had the majority of play. The only thing I'd say is we didn't really create lots, but we were certainly, in my opinion, the side on the ascendancy, and a point was probably a fair result, I think. And yeah, just to echo the frustrations with the set piece, it's not the first time we've I mean, you go back to the Chippenham game when Dom Revan scored. That was the first corner that game we'd actually put in the box, and we scored from it. Like, I know we're not the biggest team, perhaps we're not the most powerful in the air, but the short corners, the short routines don't seem to work. So,
but there's always second balls, isn't there, from corners?
Exactly. Yeah. Can you pick up, or you don't always have to be the biggest to win the header. You look at someone like Arsenal, that Timber.
Yeah, get across the front post.
He wins a hell of a lot of headers in the box, scores a lot of goals from set pieces. All right, different level, but you can maybe try something different. And
like you say, it was the way it happened. Like if we whipped the ball in the box, the keeper then came out, caught it, and they scored on the counter attack, we wouldn't have really have batted an eyelid at it. But it was the way it happened, just effectively.
You send all the big, the big defenders. What big players we have got? You send all the big lads up.
Cameron Badabo.
And up they go. Cameron, Dom, etc. Get in the box. Oh, great! Now they've got to sprint back.
Yeah.
You're never catching
a Maidenhead are a quick side.
And the lad who broke had only come on 10, 15 minutes beforehand, so you're sort of fresh legs against tired legs. And
Is there something to be said? And I know that we don't necessarily like caution, but maybe do you leave an extra man spare when you're away from home? You're currently
game management.
Game management. Do you go a little bit more cautious in that moment, or do you try and go for the win? It's a really tricky one, isn't it? But if you're going for the win, surely you've got to get the ball in the box.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think in hindsight, Kia did very,
Hindsight's
very well.
a wonderful thing, isn't it? But
yeah, in hindsight, Kia did really, really well to get back with that player in the end. He was very quick to get back with him. He was unfortunate and the mistake happened, so...
Like I said, I think it's based on maybe what position you're in, also in the table. And like if we were in a position like Eastbourne or Chippenham, maybe you do go for the win because points at that point aren't enough. Where we're in a position where that point would just be that extra little bit of cushion, and to drop it was obviously, like we said, disappointing.
As maybe we deserve more from that game, but yeah, the next one, I don't think we deserved anything.
That was a dreadful game.
Yeah, the Maidstone game at home.
Yeah, poor game of football between two poor sides. Neither side deserved to win. 0-0. The ref should have called it at half time and said, "Look, none of you lot have done anything. Like, come on, let's get out of here." But again, frustrating that it's not really a game that you're sort of expecting to get anything out of. But despite, like I say, it was a dreadful game of football, you're still 0-0 with 9 minutes to go. And you're sort of thinking, well, okay, could this be another bonus point sort of thing? And then they score. We never ever looked like we were going to like get back into it, and that was that sort of thing.
I missed a game and I'm glad I did.
Oh, it was a good one.
I unfortunately couldn't make it, but from what I've read and what people have said, it sounds very similar to the Torquay home game earlier in the season, where it wasn't particularly two great sides. Saved a penalty in that game as well.
Yeah.
Lose 1-0. Didn't look like challenging, like making any chances, and they walk away with a scabby 1-0.
As I said in the video at Hornchurch, actually, the game after, it was just, as I mentioned it to Dutz, there was just a real lethargy about their passing and a real poor decision making as well. And throughout the 90 minutes, it just, and like I said, Tuesday's game was night and day from that. But we'll not move on yet because you haven't had your say. Go on, you can moan about it.
No, not. I think it's not so much to moan, but I think that was a real point to everybody of what difference Mo Darbury actually makes to the team.
It does.
He was so missed on that Maidstone game.
Energy and legs.
There was no energy in the midfield. Yes, there was illness, like not disputing that. But we can't keep, using them.
Making excuses.
Well, yeah, I wasn't really going to go down that line, but
I'll say it.
But yeah, he said it. You have got other players, and it's about making the right decisions. We had every chance in that game to snatch it, and we didn't have a shot on target.
Which you can't score goals if you don't hit the target, and you can't win games if you don't score goals. So, and we'll come back to that in a minute, but let's talk Hornchurch, which again I wasn't there because of my poorly back, but
Night and day.
A much better performance from what I listened to from you and Toby.
Yeah. Very good commentary, I've got to say, but from Toby. Yeah, thoughts on that one?
Yeah, no, I thought we gave it a really good go. We more than matched Hornchurch. Started the game really well. Looked to be on the front foot. Could have been ahead early doors. Nathan had a decent chance. They sort of came back into it a bit, and Hughes had to make a couple of good saves. But we were well in the game, and definitely sort of deserving of at least being level at half time, if not ahead, based on the fact that we had a couple of good chances, they had a couple of good chances, sort of thing. And then it was just 8-10 minutes after half time when we came out and we were really poor. Switch off from a corner,
They score a goal.
Then we sort of get back to that first half of passing it well, energy was good, we moved, the movement up front was good. I thought Nathan was good playing through the middle rather than out wide. We had a couple of opportunities, we got some really good positions, put some really good balls in that we couldn't capitalise on. Maybe the final ball wasn't quite sometimes to the right area, but we were looking like we could potentially get something, but yet again couldn't quite get there. But the performance was like, you play like that against most teams, like Hornchurch, I wouldn't say they're a brilliant side, but they're a really good
effective side.
Effective, organised side. They held their defensive line nicely.
They got a good keeper.
They got 1-0 up and they held on to what they had, and we couldn't break them down despite giving it a really good go. But ultimately we come away with 0 points.
From looking through their results, it looks like they are an effective team who know how to grind out a result, rather than being a Dorking who will pull you all over the place and will more than likely score against a team in a game. And then it's just whether they concede less or not.
Really well organised at the back. The two centre halves knew exactly what they were doing, and
You go on, Luke.
Obviously it's good that the performance was better, but we are now getting to that part of the season where
points matter, performances don't. Basically.
And I don't want to put the boys down for they obviously gave their best and put in a good performance, which wasn't the case against Maidstone. But we are getting to that point now where it's that needs to start. That those losses need to transform into draws. The draws need to transform into wins, and like you say, we've got 10 games to try and make that happen.
So we are tumbling down the form table, but out of those games you've got listed there, 5 games you've got listed there, there was only one poor performance, whereas earlier in the season those poor performances were probably
3 out of those
3 or
5
4
games.
Yeah. So I'm certainly feeling a bit more hopeful than I was towards certainly the first third or so of the season. I feel we're developing so.
When you say they weren't poor performances, is that because you saw effort, determination, not necessarily
score a lot of
not
the time.
necessarily a great amount of quality in the final third?
That's the issue. We are defensively, I think, the back four we've gone to with Ollie and Dom, Cameron and Richard playing as a back four in front of Will Hughes. That's a solid unit. We never look like we're going to get battered. We're going to, apart from the one freak game against Maidenhead at home early on in the season where we shipped 6. I've never once thought
pretty solid throughout, haven't we?
Generally speaking, we're pretty solid. That defensively, we're okay, I think. And the midfield with Mo and Jolliffe and Malachi in there is an effective midfield in there. They're busy players, they make runs, they use the ball nicely. It's just the final third, I think, that's costing us. How many games have we come away from this season going, do you know what, we've played all right there, we just couldn't really create a chance, we couldn't score a goal.
Yeah.
And the really strange thing with that, you look at the players that we've got. So we've got Josh Hedges, we've got Tommy Willard, we've got Noah Coppin. You've got players there who are not necessarily goal scorers, but they're creators. I know they can score goals, but you would say all of those are people who are able to create opportunities, and sometimes out of nothing. But they don't seem to have done that this season.
No, they don't. I always find that they struggle more to create when Hedges and Coppin aren't on the pitch together. I think they link up really well. But yeah, we are just missing that final proper striker that will put the ball in the back of the net. I know Nathan's come in and Nathan's been great, but there's also times where he hasn't really looked like he's even going to have a shot.
But he's been played out wide.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
He's definitely not a wide player, is he?
For me, his best game was Tuesday at Hornchurch when he played through the middle. I don't know if him and Noah can play together, if Noah's going to play through the middle as well.
They both look like they want to make similar runs, similar movements.
They're very similar, sort of like you say, similar areas of the pitch they're operating in. And I think, I don't know what it is, because we have got some good players, but you look at someone like Willard, he doesn't really fit in the system of a front three there, because he's not a wide player and he's not a central striker, but he's a number 10 for me, but we don't play with that system, so he's almost shoved wide in one of the positions, and he's looked good at times. He's had some good games, but I just don't think we get the best out of him. But we haven't really got too many other options. Players like Grubb don't seem to be trusted at all. I mean, I can't remember the last time he was on the pitch. I know he had injury, but he's been on the bench for the last 2 months or so without seeing anywhere near the pitch, sort of thing. So you do sort of wonder, in training, behind closed doors, etc., what are they producing? Because you could understand if we were banging in goals left, right and centre and looking really dangerous on the attack, you go, okay, sorry son, you'll have to wait your chance type thing. But we haven't looked dangerous in quite a few games, and he hasn't had an opportunity. And I mean, maybe he's not good enough, maybe he is, who knows? It's very hard to tell when you don't get on the pitch. And then you've got players like Matt Briggs, who, as far as I'm aware, is still at the club, but is he not? He's
currently joint third highest goal scorer.
Well, I think he had children around New Year, Christmas time.
Fairly recently.
So you missed a couple of games there, but since then, I think he's been back on the bench once. Not seen him since then. And you're sort of thinking, well, at the start of the season, he was a player that you're looking at going, experience at this level, can he offer us something? So why is he not getting a look in? Why is there not anything you hear about him? But I don't know what it is. It is frustrating, because I think we have got talent in the attack. It's just finding a way to unlock and getting the best out of them.
I think Bray's frustrating, isn't it?
Bray,
Ollie,
I really want him to be good.
We all want him to do well. And when he's
do.
on the pitch, he offers us something very different, because he's so quick.
That chance against Chippenham towards the end, when he went through, did anyone think he was going to score it?
What, the one that ended up in the car?
He's had a few,
Yeah,
he's
exactly,
had a
the
few
one
of
that went
those
out
where
is
he's
like-
gone in and he's one-on-one
yeah.
effectively, and you've thought...
And obviously it's a confidence thing because he hasn't played much, he's had some injuries, and it's very hard to take your opportunity when you get 10 minutes at the end of the game, you start one and then you don't start again for another 6 weeks. So it's obviously very hard, but you do have to maximise what you impress when you can type thing to really bang on the door and that, which is frustrating. But like I say, I want him to be good. He's got all the attributes, I think, but it just hasn't clicked for whatever reason.
Well, like I said, I think with his injuries, there's explanations why maybe he's not.
It's always
Set the dogs off again, Luke.
That dog don't
Take
want
him
to
down.
He don't like me, does he?
You've been on the podcast too much, he's saying. That's what it is.
There's reasons there's reasons why Bray has been on the bench, probably because of his injury record and the fact he's not really taken his chance from what we've seen when he has played. Where, like I said, with Grubb, we don't know why. Maybe, like you say, that for whatever reason he's not producing in training, or I don't know. But
That's it. Well done.
Yeah. Good point, well made.
He's saying that Luke's come far too organised and has a page of notes by
I
the look of it.
do. Well, Andy said we've been talking about the lack of goal scoring, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go through the games.
This organised.
So we've lost 17 games in the league this season.
Okay.
14 of those we haven't scored,
Okay.
which is 82% of our defeats we have not scored in. We've lost, and 7 of them have been 1-0 defeats, which is again 41%. We've had 9 league draws, 3 of those are 0-0, and 3 of them are 1-1. And then with our wins, we've got 10 league wins, 5 of them are 1-0, and then we've got a 3-0 in there. So 6 of them we've won 2-0.
Yeah.
Which just, I said on the last podcast I was on before Christmas for the Bath game, and this proves it. It's very much who's going to score the first goal, us or them, and that normally decides the result there and then. Like, I've 33 goals in 36 games, and 14 of those are in 4 games, with the remaining 19 coming in 32 games. And I think what you've got down here for your goal scorers, that's all comps.
That's all competitions.
Yeah,
so Noah in all competitions has scored 13.
Yeah.
Then you drop to 5 is the next one with Josh Hedges.
Because I just did the league, where Coppin's got
got
10, Willard's 4, Kia 3, and then everyone else 2 or below. So Coppin has got just over 30% of our goals, with then him, Willard, and Kia 50%.
And 3 or 4 of Noah's are penalties as well, which
Penalties
still
penalties
goals,
count.
yeah,
They
yeah.
still count.
This
but
isn't trying to dig anyone out. This is just the facts of what the table reads and what the
main issue is goal scoring.
Yeah,
I think.
and they say every game it's we played all right, but it's the final third. We're not creating chances.
Say a lot in the commentary.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating. And when we go 1-0 down, it's sort of like, well, is that we're getting a draw at most here. Like,
If we had a player who'd scored the same or as many goals as Noah has this season, would we be looking down at Bath City, Eastbourne and those teams in the relegation places thinking, can we stay above them till the end of the season? We'd probably be looking more towards, have we got an outside chance of the playoffs? Because it's that tight, this league.
And I don't necessarily think it's a personnel issue, because actually goal scoring has been an issue if you go back 2 or 3 years under Dutch's management. Like, when we got promoted, who did we have as our central striker? Dan Fitchett. What did he get? 5, 6
I thought
goals
we had a ban
this
on that name in this podcast now.
Yeah.
he gets brought up every
Not the hard
podcast,
facts,
doesn't he? Bless
but-
him.
And you go back over since Dutch has been here, we've brought in some strikers that, on paper,
Should score goals.
You go, that's like James Harding, Harry Williams, Rafa Ramos. This season, Matty Taylor. You're sort of thinking
Tommy Lee Hicks was another
Tommy
one.
Lee
He scored
Hicks.
a bucket load last season.
Exactly. So, and I'm not one for like XG and all that sort of stuff. But if you did, I bet if they broke it down, if Opta did stats at this level, our XG would be right down the floor. Because it's not like we miss a load of chat. Like
Luke's probably got them.
when Matty Taylor was here, He didn't score very many goals for us, but on the flip side, how many chances did he miss?
We didn't give him many, did we?
He barely had a chance, so it's frustrating in that way.
Well, like you said earlier as well about the goalkeeper and the defence, like, is it the way we're set up? We're not conceding many and we're not scoring many. Like, is he worried that if we sort of become a little bit more open and maybe not as defensive, will we end up just losing 2-1 instead of 1-0?
But we do still concede. That's the trouble sometimes.
So,
and it's sometimes like that. If you're basically relying on not making a mistake in 90 minutes of football. And unfortunately, at National League South level, as good as I think our players are,
everyone's got mistakes.
They will make mistakes. Over 90 minutes,
Any level,
somebody will be a yard or two out of position, somebody will give a ball away, somebody will make slip or something like that. So, I mean, maybe I don't really know what I'm on about, but I'd always say just go for it, because you're more likely to outscore the opposition by going for it than trying to hold on and nick stuff. But like I say, I'm not a coach, so exactly.
I think it's about finding the right balance, because I mean, I know it's different levels, like you say, but then you look at like Ange Postecoglou at Spurs, who was effectively just all-out attack, and then Spurs fans were losing their minds come the end of that, because it was like, well, we just don't look like never shipping less than 2. So it's a one extreme to the other. I just wish that going into a game, it wasn't right who can get the first goal. If we get the first goal, then we'll see it out, or at least get a 1-1 draw. And if we concede the first goal, at most we're getting a 1-1 draw. I just wish it was just a little bit more, just a bit more there.
Proactive.
Yeah.
What do we need, Amy? What's the golden bullet to fix our goal scoring?
I don't know, really.
Amy's going to put her boots on.
You're a coach. Come on, Amy.
I know. I think it's just having that clinical finisher, taking opportunities when we get them. Sometimes I think we kind of not mess around with the ball in the box, but it seems to just bounce from player to player. We're not always taking the opportunity.
No one taking responsibility sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle.
That's
Easier
it.
said than done.
Are we a little bit guilty sometimes of overplaying it, trying to do rather than having a shot, just trying to find someone who's in a slightly better position?
There was a couple of times at Hornchurch in the second half on Tuesday night where we got in some really good positions, and you're just thinking, oh, shot, oh no, okay, now you've moved it on to someone. Shoot, oh no, he's moved it on to, and you're sort of thinking somebody's got to step up and take that chance.
I think that's also like probably the state of modern football as well. Like you haven't got that sort of Lampard type of player that's going to take a shot from 30 yards and at least test the keeper, let alone score. I mean, we had at the old club Ben Addlesbury, who could score from 30 yards plus. Yeah. And we don't. And I'm not saying like that's the answer to our problems, but it'd be nice to have that as an option. But
Kira do that.
He has scored a couple.
And he's scored a couple of absolute
screamers.
Absolute screamers, but he seems to be the only one taking that opportunity.
But he's another one who seems to be spending more time on the bench now than on the pitch.
And then, like you say, if he is the only one that can bang one in from 25 yards and he's on the bench more, then that goes.
Just as in my opinion, just as he started playing well, like I didn't think he was brilliant at the start of the season and played every week, but he's grown into the season, and then I think he was playing his best, and then got dropped and has barely had a look in since. You're 20 minutes here and there off the bench type thing.
Does anybody remember Badil and Skinner's fantasy league, fantasy football?
Yeah.
They had Stato. We've got Potter.
Potto.
I have to make notes every time.
Yeah.
So,
pressure's on now, Luke.
I'm going to steal Luke's stat now. I think he said we've scored 1.08 points per game so far this season.
Yeah. So
10 games left.
11 points projected.
Potentially 11 points.
Yeah.
We got 46 last season and stayed up. How many do we need to stay up this season?
More than that, I think. Last season there was 5 or 6 very poor teams, including us obviously in the shake-up at the end, and I think this season, I mean, Eastbourne look like they're potentially getting their act together a little bit. Farnborough, who knows what they do. Bath seem to get results from places, Slough as well, so I think you might be looking at maybe needing 50 points to be confident of staying up this season, and
which means we need a point a game from here on in. Saturday, starting with that.
Yeah.
Eastbourne Borough, 6-pointer.
Yeah, more than a 6-pointer. And I don't think Eastbourne will be a very easy game either. They're fighting for their lives and they will come out fighting. And the lads need to do exactly the same. They've got to treat every game like it's last game right now.
They've had a bit of an uptick since getting rid of Tommy Widds.
Yeah.
2 wins in their last 3.
Yeah.
Is it a really bad time to be facing them?
I think when he came in, I always said because they were going for the title last year on the last day, weren't they? And it was almost like, okay, at some point they're surely going to turn their fortunes round, and then I wasn't expecting it not for Tommy Witherington to be sacked, but then he was. Now they've started to perform better, and I feel if we can beat them on Saturday, that I don't want to say it buries them, but it puts us in a lot more comfortable position compared to them, where
it gives us points and it takes points away from somebody that might potentially be a rival for staying up.
And then if they then beat us, then that's it's going to be a nervy end to the season.
I have kind of had a feeling we might actually be safe before the last game of the season, but
Hemel away is not the place you want to go on the last end of the season with a result.
It's my confidence is. I think we've had a really tough run of fixtures. That is kind of my thinking, and that we've still got more tough games. Don't get me wrong, but they are absolute stinkers that we've had, especially the last 4. They are absolutely games we wouldn't expect to necessarily be winning, are they?
Yeah, I messaged you on Tuesday to say I feel like the next 3 is so key. But our next 2 home game, Eastbourne and Enfield, both down there, and then an away game at Slough. Out of those 9 points, if you can pick up at least 6, happy days.
I think you're halfway to safe if you do that, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. And I'll start by saying I think we'll stay up, but I think it'll be.
There's a short 4 you're in.
Oh, no.
I think it'll be one of those ones where I could easily see us losing to Eastbourne on Saturday and then going and winning at Torquay, because that's the sort of thing we do.
Been doing,
Does that very much depend on what happens with the management situation at Torquay between now and then?
Oh yeah. Don't get me started on Neil Warnock, but yeah.
So I worked at Middlesbrough while he was manager there. I've had it first hand.
Yeah, but I think the trouble is I've seen a lot of people sort of saying, well, we got Eastbourne at home, Enfield at home, etc. This time last year, we were all sort of saying we've got Aveley at home, we've got Weymouth at home or away, we've got
Enfield again.
I think we got Welling away, and I think we got about 3 points out of those 4 or 5 games or something. So it is a bit dangerous to get in the mindset of we'll probably be all right because we'll win against those teams. But like I say, I do think we'll stay up. And I think it'll be because we'll get 2 or 3 random wins that nobody's predicting us to get, sort of thing.
So, what are your thoughts on the next 3? They are Eastbourne, Torquay away, and then Slough away. What are our hopes points-wise from that?
Oh yeah, I think we'd love 6 out of the 9, wouldn't we?
6 out of 9 would be very good. I'd take 4 or 5, maybe.
I think if you chuck Enfield in there as out of the 4 games, I think between 6 to 9 points would.
I reckon at least 2 wins out of that little run. I think
it's got to be the aim.
Yeah, because you've got to remember that teams down the bottom don't win every game. So yes, some teams have got games in hand, but I'd rather have the points on board because I think. I looked at it, Bath have got 4 games in hand on us, but you average out over the season, over 4 games, they probably get 4 points, maybe 5 points. So,
and that's Saturday, Tuesday,
they going to get them?
To the end of the season.
Exactly. They're playing every game, every week. I think we've got one more Tuesday night.
That's it.
It's
we're there to the end of the season.
You've got the bank holiday around Easter, the 2 games then, but the rest of it is all. Barring any postponements, it's all Saturday, so it gives you time to recover and work on stuff in the week, which could
something we've not had pretty much since January.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've basically played 2 games a week for the last 3 months, near enough, and it will take its toll on a small squad, a young squad, an inexperienced squad, part-time, obviously, not being the full-time footballers. So I think there's enough there to say that we'll get enough points in the next. I mean, it'd be lovely if we do it in the next sort of 2 or 3 games. Just get 7 points or something like that, and then you're really sort of thinking, okay, we should be all right from here, but we'll probably do it the hard way because it's Salisbury.
So despite the form table and poor form in the final third as well to really exacerbate it, we're all still fairly confident we're going to be all right and we're going to stay up.
Well, I think over our last 10 games we picked up 9 points. I think if we did that over the last 10 games, I think squeaky bum a bit, but I think we'll be all right.
Squeeze through. Yeah.
And as a final point, assuming we do stay up, I think we're all agreed that likelihood is we are going to stay up. What needs
The hope.
So we don't have to
Let's go with hope, Andy, not think.
we got some good shots for the end of the season. We all go pear-shaped. What needs to change before next season?
Well, can I start on that?
Ali's already mentioned at least hybrids.
Yeah,
for next season.
For me, like, it's been constantly said, as much as maybe people agree with it or disagree with it, it was we survived on the last day of last season, so we couldn't talk to players because we didn't know what league we'd be in. We didn't have the full summer of the new ownership and having the budget to bring in the squad we want. This year, if we can somehow be safe, even with 2 to 3 games left, like there's your first one. You now got a couple of weeks head start of some of the other teams down the bottom. We've got a full summer of the new ownership, the new wage structure, potentially going hybrid to build that squad. Build a squad that is a fairly decent size that can be anywhere between mid-table to the bottom of the playoffs. Like, that's what I would like to see. We're not sitting here going, we're rich now, we want to win the league next year. We're all realistic that we just want to see some good
improvement.
Yeah, we just want to see improvements and good football.
I think Eastbourne proved that throwing money at it doesn't necessarily equal success.
100%, and that's why that's what I would like to see. Just some improvement, and next year be safe for about 3 months before the end of the season.
Yeah, Luke. You got away with it.
Maybe it's gone. What would you like to see changed, Amy? What do you think needs to be done differently?
Very much echoing what Luke said, really. Having the time on our hands to go out to the market and, bring in the right players, not having a limited budget like we have done. Just building on the squad and getting the right people ready for next season to go again.
I guess Ali would say that they've already started making a few signings for next season.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, that's one good thing. We have like players like Dabre that we've looked at for next season 100%. As well. I think, for me personally, Dutz has spoken quite a lot in interviews after the game where he said we've lacked a little bit of experience, a bit of nous, it seems like every experienced player we've had has been bombed out for whatever reason. I don't know the ins and outs of people's contracts, people's personal situations, who says what, who's done what, who's performed, who hasn't, sort of thing. But it seems like last summer we brought in Matty Taylor, Tom Davies, Mike Atkinson, Ngalo, players that had a bit of experience. None of them have been a success. Matty Briggs, another one. So if we're going to bring in experience, we need to make sure it's quote unquote the right experience. But how do we know that? Does Dutz need to be more flexible with how he deals with experienced players? I don't know. He seems, from what I can see looking from the outside in, it seems like he prefers working with a younger squad, which certainly has its benefits. But you're going to need 2, 3, 4 good experienced heads around them.
You need an experienced spine, don't you? Right through the middle of the team.
Yeah. Centre half, centre mid, whatever you like. You sort of think there. You want that experience, and can we get the right players in, and can we keep them? Because you look at the recruitment from last summer. How many would you say have been an unqualified success? Will Buse, brilliant. Dom Revan's been very good. Tommy Willard has had moments, but the rest of the players that came in last summer, that we were all, a lot of fans, myself included, were saying that looks a good signing on paper, that looks a good signing, that looks. How many of them have worked out? And we've had, you look at, I'm a bit old-fashioned with squad numbers, and I think it should be 1 to 11 and all that and stuff. But you look at what are we up to now? Squad number 33, 34, or something like that, and And there's been a few players that have come in, especially like someone like Lander has come in on loan from Bournemouth. He's had about 20 minutes in 7-8 games. Why have we brought him in? Have we looked at him before we're bringing him in? Who's doing the scouting of the players would be one thing I would say, because I always look at it and think, we play Saturday, Tuesday, like most teams.
You got no chance of scouting.
So Dutz, Callum, Theo at our
Working,
games,
yeah.
working for us, which is great. But who's looking at these players? I know obviously you can have games on other days of the week, etc. and times, but do we have a scouting team behind the scenes that's looking at players that are feeding in and saying, OK, Dutch, I think you ought to have a look at this player at that club, and they've got a game on Wednesday night and we haven't. Can you go? I know for a fact that Dutch and Callum work very hard and they go out and look around at players all over the place and stuff, but is that in youth games? Is that in senior men's football? Because there's a big difference between scouting a player in a youth game and scouting a player in senior men's football. So I think what I want to see is us have a settled squad. However we get there is just, look, years back we used to joke and laugh at Eastleigh and say, oh, they've got the revolving door down at Eastleigh because players in and out. What have we had over the last few years? The amount of players we've had in and out has been staggering. Like, nobody hangs around for that long, and I want us to get a settled squad. We've got a core of players that could be a really good squad, and we need to add wisely to those players, I think. And
by the sounds of what like Ali says on his podcast, well, a lot of it, which the way of modern football, and a bit similar to Pete, where sometimes I wish like they would sort of look at a player and go, just from watching him with your eye, you can see he's a good player and that's what he offers. But it just sounds like it's all data driven. Like when Ali talks about, well, they're looking at the data and, you know, if they put this many crosses, we've had this amount of XG from these crosses, and that's why we've had no one's length to put them in, put the ball in the back of the net from those crosses. Like, it just sounds like it's the modern way of, right, it's data driven. They might have done their due diligence with the players afterwards.
On a caveat on top of that, you've got clubs like Brentford, like Brighton, who are data driven, but they still have a human being go and watch the players.
There has to be a mix. You look at the numbers and you go, he looks like a good player on them, and then you go and look at him and you do the eye test, and who knows how that works.
You need the right balance.
And also,
there has
watching
to be
a player once isn't enough, is it?
You need to watch them in a couple of different, away from home, in a game against a top of the table side, a bottom side. Like, ideally, you'd want to watch them 5 or 6 times in different scenarios and games, and
have them watched by different people as well.
Exactly, but obviously you're going to be
resource.
It's resource at this level. You're going to be limited with what you can do, but I think it's key that we do get the recruitment right, because the budget will be there to be better than scrapping relegation, I'd imagine, based on everything I've heard from Ali. So let's put that squad together, let's work with them, let's keep them, you'll always have players in and out at this level, but let's try and keep that to a minimum, would be something I would like to see.
Also makes the guys' job doing the website and stuff easier if you've got a high turnover of players. Have you got anything to add in? Because I'm through my list of things.
You're through your list? No, not really. I mean, you know, we talk about the management team and things like that. Probably close season. It'd be nice if they came on. Maybe Dutz or Harty. You're always welcome. I know we tend to do the supporters side of it, but yeah, it would be good to see someone from the club come along and have a chat with
Ali
as well.
Or Barak.
Barak, yeah.
I had a nice chat with Barak on the phone the other day.
Yeah, exactly. It would be good. As I said, you know, some people try and make the podcasts all compete against each other. We don't. We all work together and we're all happy. And supporters, hopefully, are the winner because we get lots of content. There's no competition between all the podcasts, but you know, we tend to keep it as supporters, and this is great, and this is what we like. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a guest on from the club.
It would. Well, if we're all done, thanks to the Bishop's Mill as always.
Yeah, these guys.
Come and get your drinks, come and get your food. Ian always has a meal beforehand.
Tasty little chicken and bacon. Yeah, lovely.
And thanks to these guys. Thanks Pete, thanks Amy, thanks
you.
Cheers, thank you for having us on.
Thank you very much. Until next time, goodbye.